All right, strategy crash course. Let's go. By the book, there's three basic schools of thought: outside in, inside out, and emergent strategy. So, like I said, that's by the book. Look, I propose that success is probably determined not by choosing the best of those three, but probably by two ideological choices, and that's being bound and unbound. So we'll go into that. Um, Outside in, it's Michael Porter's position based view, basically um, setting your point of differentiation. So, are you leaning into a niche, into an area where you're just dominant in that space and no one can compare? So, in that space, everyone's going to you? Or are you going down a low cost, like no one can do this cheaper than us? We're not going to make as many margins, but we're going to have more volume and we're going down that road. And there's levels to it, obviously. Like now, look, I'm born in Cleveland, Ohio, so I relate everything to NFL, especially strategy stuff. Football is everything. Also, in construction management, so I compare a lot of things to construction management space. Bear with me. I'm going to go into a lot of both of them. NFL comparison, though, look, it's like Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom Seahawks. You know, the NFL is full of high flying offenses that could not be stopped. So, what do they need to do? Looking at the market, well, let's build a team, a defense, the Legion of Boom. You have a name like that, you already know what it is. Let's build that can shut down any offense. Let's build it from the draft. Let's acquire players. Let's trade for players and build that because that is what the league is giving us as an advantage to build on, right? So they built that and it worked. Went to two Super Bowls, won one of them. So there's success there. Building wise, you could look at the markets like tier one builders. You know, tier one builders, they pick a point of differentiation. Lendlease had health locked up for ages, still do in some cases. Um, John Holland was dominant in defense. That was their lane. Then you had a lot of tier twos that competed on the low cost end of you name the specific facet of construction, but they started sort of fighting amongst themselves. There are other options. We'll go into that later, but for tier twos. But at the time, I thought they were just a cheap and nasty option. I've evolved and grown in my understanding since then. But that's the building comparison. Lendlease owned health. They every multi-billion-dollar health project in the country, most of them get done by Lendlease to this day. Um, and that's the key is not really getting stuck in the middle. You know, if you're looking at Porter's $1 million matrix, stuck in the middle is the death sentence. You have to pick a lane and lean all the way into it and see it through. See it through. Um, have a good idea of what you do, what's in that lane, and then what you won't do. Being willing to say no, that's not us. That's not our bag. That's not our lane. We're not going down that road. It's being willing to do that. Now, like I said, I'm not sure which came first. I moved to Australia in 2008, late 2008. Like I said, Lendlease was dominant in health, but looking at the inside out view, very well could have looked at what they had as far as resources, capabilities, um, um, really as strategic assets and said, hey, we are really good at doing health. We should go down that road. So there is a relation between inside out, outside in. Outside, inside out is resource based view. It's what weapons do we have that we own that we can deploy better than our competitors, right? And leaning into that, strategic assets, these weapons, right? And strategic assets, is it valuable? Is it rare? Is it inimitatable? I said it. Is it organized? Can it be effectively deployed? That's what it is. NFL comparison, John Harbaugh and the Ravens when they found Lamar Jackson. And all of a sudden, hang on, we have a generational talent that is rare, inimitatable. No one else has it. How do we make it effectively deployed? Well, pull up the emergency brake, change everything. We have a regular basic offense. We are now changing our offense to only be around Lamar Jackson and what he can do and what no one else can stop. That is a resource-based view. We have a resource that no one else has, and we are going all the way in. That's the NFL comparison. And like I said, the building comparison, I guess another one's, like I said, John Holland was doing all defense work, a lot of defense work. Well, then they got bought by a Chinese company, had to stop doing defense work because they weren't allowed anymore. Well, what do we have that we can now deploy and be dominant at? Prisons. They did high security work for defense. They rolled it straight in. Now they do most of the major prison projects in Australia. That's looking resource-based. What do we have? What's valuable? What does no one else really have, at least compared to what we can do? And they went down that road. They're still successful. All right. So the emergent strategy point, this is the most interesting. This is the one that I love because it's really just having the agility to start with an intended strategy and then be willing to change. You see an opportunity, hang on, maybe we should lean that direction. You see a success, all right, let's follow this unexpected success. Circumstances change. Okay, what do we do now? You have a failure. Okay, is there a 2.0 version of this? Because we have all these lessons learned from the failure. And we just retool and keep going. The possibilities are endless with the emergent strategy viewpoint. And NFL comparison, this is Bill Belichick. 6 Super Bowls, not a single Super Bowl won like any of the other ones. Willing to change even at halftime, down in a Super Bowl 28-3, to completely change the strategy of what you're going to do, and end up winning that Super Bowl in the second half. Having 3 games last year in a row where they passed the ball all the time, and on that 4th game they decided to never pass the ball at all. Not a single pass was attempted. Having that, being able to adjust to whatever is coming to you, the tendencies of the other team, the tendencies of the league, the weather. The weather's better than you thought. The weather's worse than you thought. And being able to have the agility to change things up immediately. That is a skill. That's a superpower in any industry. And I think the example of that, like I said, emergent view, John Holland realizing they needed to change things up because they can't do defense projects anymore because they're foreign owned, and being willing to, okay, we can do this and be able to make that change. But the key here, being unbound, that idea of being unbound, that ideological choice. Tier 2s, I thought, were just a cheap and nasty version of Tier 1s, but there is a strategic advantage to being a Tier 2 that you can lean into because you have the ability to be agile and change things up and go directions when opportunities present. Company I'm with now saw an opportunity to do data centers, leaned all the way in. Now they have a data center team and just dominant in that space doing data centers. Now looking down another road, but also can go down a road and say, okay, this wasn't working the way we thought, and pull up stumps quickly and just pivot. Because it isn't a massive cruise ship. Lend-Lease went down the infrastructure road, bought up Abbey Group, did all the tunnels for a while. That didn't work out. But that was a massive ordeal selling that off because it's hard to turn a cruise ship. The superpower for a Tier 2 is the ability to, they're just as nice still, but it's a yacht. And it's a lot easier to turn a yacht and go a different direction and experiment and prototype deliberately. And see what you're good at, see what you're not good at, explore new opportunities. Be a disruptor, go down a different road, a road less traveled, and really find out where you are. And that's the kind of company I'm working for now, and I'm loving it. So that's my ideas on the NFL. That's my ideas on construction management. It's a little bit about George as well. Thanks.